Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation. Now today I want to talk to you about a new 2-day live course I'm going to be teaching, and this is my STEPS course. This is going to be something that's held most likely at the end of this month in the next 3 weeks, where we'll actually be able to go over and explain and show you current setups using our STEPS technique. Now, a lot of you are not familiar with what STEPS is. We currently had a course a year or two ago, but it was just an online course. In this specific new college I'm going to be teaching in the next 3 weeks, we're actually, as I said, going to have a live class where we'll be able to look over live charts and also be able to look over current setups. Now, the reason why we put together this new college is because we surveyed a lot of our students around the world as well as prospective students, and we asked them what they had the most difficulties with. What are some of the things coming into trading or learning from us that they had difficulties with, or in their prior career with trading, what they had the most difficulties with. So we asked these students around the world once again, and we said, what is your biggest problem with entries? Because entries was the #1 concern with most students. And here are the most, I would say, the most popular answers that came up once we surveyed a number of students around the world. The first one was, and these may seem very familiar to yourself, I already have a strategy, but I need help in fine-tuning my entries. So let's say you maybe have purchased a strategy from someone else, or maybe you have put together your own strategy. You like to, create your own trading systems or methods, but you don't seem to really be in sync with where your entry should be. Okay, that's a common problem with a lot of students. A lot of times, because their entries are not really that fine-tuned, they actually think that the strategy or system may be faulty, but it's really just your entry. Still, other students said, I enter trades too early. Okay, how many times have you done that, where you've entered a trade way too early? You have to sit around for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks before anything happens. And if you're trading options, you can see a lot of the premiums really just dry up, and maybe you scare yourself out and exit just before the big move happens, okay? Also, students said, I don't know how or where to re-enter. So let's say you have a method or a strategy that actually works pretty well, and so often at times you'll get out with a nice, measurable profit, and then you sit there and say, boy, that was a pretty good trade, and you see it go higher and higher and higher. Or else if you're short, you get out with a nice quick profit, you cover your short, and you see it just go lower and lower and lower. So you want to re-enter, but your strategy or your system is not generating any more signals. So you don't know how or where to get back in. Still, other students said their biggest problem was they wanted more trades. And others said they wanted less trades, okay, entries. So maybe your particular method generates way too many signals for you. Maybe, 10 trades a day. You can't possibly follow them to have all of the trade numbers you want to. And still, some of you may want more trades, and your system or method only trades maybe once a month. All right, how can you get more, or if you want, how can you get less trade entries? And then finally, what if you're an investor? You don't always have to be a trader or an intraday trader. What if you like to invest? Well, a lot of investors said, I want to add to my long-term positions. If you were long enough to get long, if you were lucky enough to get long some ETFs or some indexes, say 5-10 years ago, and they've been going steadily up, and you wanted to re-enter your position for your long-term portfolio, how would you get back in? Okay? Well, I'm going to answer these questions and more in today's presentation, and this is the reason why we created the STEPS 2-day course. And also, you're going to see how easy it is to answer and fulfill all these questions using our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform, because it makes trading steps simple. So this is going to be a great educational class today. Thanks for joining us. My name is Steven Primo. I'm the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies about a decade ago with one goal in mind, and that was simply to educate you as a trader. Because in my opinion, the only reason why traders fail is because you're taking yourself out of the game. You're relying on someone or something else to make trading decisions for you. But once you are able to make your own decisions, well, that's when you start to become consistent. The reason why most traders don't make their own decisions is they feel like, well, I don't have enough experience, I don't have enough knowledge, I haven't been trading long enough, and I really don't know what I'm doing, so I'd rather follow this trading guru, some guy on a webinar. And that's where you get into that 80 percentile of traders who ultimately fail. So our job is not to give you the perfect strategy or perfect system. We don't believe in that. Our job is not to force feed you signals. We simply want to provide you with that education so that you can make your own trading decisions. I've been trading for over 4 decades now. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was a specialist for 9 years. A specialist is someone who made markets in around 50 or 60 stocks. So that's what I did. So I've seen and traded just about everything you can imagine, straight up, straight down markets. So I know what works in terms of consistency and I know what doesn't. So that's all we want to do. We want to provide you with sound fundamental education. You'll see our devotion to really trying to do that in today's class. But before we begin, as always, we're required by law to share this with you, so please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using our steps techniques, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also, please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, we have a good crowd here today. If you haven't done so already, I want to invite each and every one of you to follow us on Twitter. I post different educational things on a daily basis, anywhere from signals our strategies have generated, anywhere from sound fundamental education to help you kind of figure out, maneuver the markets, to little bits of financial wisdom along the way. So lots of great free educational information. Please feel free to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there. You may want to copy that down. Now, as I stated in the opening statements, we're a little bit different from other webinars you may have attended in that we are strictly only trying to educate you. That's our only goal. When I first struggled some 42 years ago, I was lucky enough to have a couple of mentors who simply wanted to educate me, the same things I teach my students. Now, I wanted to overcomplicate things and get every indicator and look at every news event and subscribe to every newsletter so that I could have as much information as possible. And they taught me that the real road to consistency is paved in simplicity, not in overcomplicating your trades and overcomplicating your methods. So that's what the Specialist Edge is. Okay, we really want to make things simple for you to understand. We really don't want to overcomplicate things, and also we want to teach you. Okay, so that's my goal, to teach you, not to trade for you, but to teach you how to trade with the Specialist Edge, the same edge that was taught to me some 4 decades ago, and what I truly believe has sustained me now for 4 decades. Now, since we're going to be conducting this as a class, I want you to all ask me as many questions as possible, but please wait till the very end of class to ask. We have a good crowd here today. I don't want to take up all of your day answering questions for every slide. So if you have a question, please wait till the end of the presentation. I promise I'll get to each and every one of them. And the only question I will answer is the most common, and that is this being recorded. Yes, it is. So if you have to leave early, or if you're having issues with your volume or with the picture, don't worry. We will provide each and every one of you with a link to today's recording. All right? With that said, let's begin today's class. Now remember, when I first started trading some 42 years ago, I struggled tremendously. I was doing the same thing that 99.9% of all traders do. I was overcomplicating my trading. I was, looking at too many indicators, following too many news services, waiting with bated breath for all the earnings announcements and fundamental announcements to come out, and nothing was working in terms of consistency. So let me tell you what my mentors taught me 4 decades ago on the trading floor of the exchange, all right? They said, Steve, you are overcomplicating your entries. And the reason is you have to go down to the common denominators because there are really only 2 types of entries. You see, one of the biggest things is we try to, overcomplicate things by saying, well, this is a specific type of system, this is a specific type of method, we're going to make it different for this market and different for that, different for this time frame. It's just so much overcomplication. It's a wonder why you can even trade anything waiting for everything to line up. But if you simplify things and you really go down to its basic bare bones here, there are really only 2 types of entry. The first one is a continuation entry, okay? So what exactly is that? And do you fall under that category as a continuation trader? A continuation entry is based off of a trend or a move that is already in place. And who trades these type of entries? Well, it's for traders who like to get in right away. They don't want to wait. Usually they'll buy at the market or sell at the market. They like a lot of trades and they just want to jump on board. Imagine a speeding train. They're not going to wait for it to stop or to slow down. They're just going to jump on board. And there's nothing wrong with this style of trading. There's nothing wrong with having a system or a method that is based off this. Now, some of the characteristics of continuation trading is that you're going to get a lot of setups, a lot of trades, because you're just simply going to jump in when you feel it's the right time to move. So you'll have a lot of trades. You're pretty much, going with the flow, and you're deciding for yourself when and how to get in. Okay, that is a continuation entry. Now, there's also the other type, which is completely different. It's a pullback entry. This is for traders who actually don't want to jump in for a trend. They want to wait for a little sell-off in an uptrend or a little bounce in a downtrend to get short or to sell. So if you look at this generic example, a pullback trader waits for some established trend, and then usually with any trend, there's a sell-off. Let's say an uptrend here. We have a sell-off where most traders think that, well, that's the end of the trend. We're topping out. It's time to exit everything and to go short. Pullback traders, based on their requirements, see that this is actually just a pullback. It's just a retracement. And based on your requirements, somewhere within that pullback, that's where you should be entering. Because if it meets all the requirements, well, the trend should resume back on its older course. In this example, it would be up. So with pullback traders, some of the characteristics are you'll have less trades because obviously you're waiting for this specific scenario. But the good thing is you won't have to be buying at the highs as something is breaking out or taking off. You'll be waiting to buy and purchase at lower prices. You'll also have less trades, as we just said. But if you're selling, if you're shorting, well, you'll be able to sell at higher prices. All right. Now, there's nothing wrong with either one of these characteristics or styles of trading. But in order to resolve your entry difficulties, you must first decide which type of trader you are. What category do you fall under? It's been my experience of teaching for the last 15 years or 20 years or so that a big part of the problem with a lot of traders is not that they have a faulty method or a faulty strategy. It's not that they don't have enough experience or they don't know enough. It's that they're trading the wrong category. You see, let's say you're a pullback trader. You want to wait for that high probability setup of a sell-off in an uptrend. But your strategy is a continuation strategy. And it has you having a lot of trades and you're buying at the top, hoping that it's going to continue to go higher and higher. And you don't feel comfortable. So maybe you won't take the trades and you'll sit there and say, boy, I missed that first 2 or 3 great trades. And then you'll take the 3rd or 4th one and that's the one that loses, right? And you just don't feel comfortable with it. It's the same way if you're a continuation trader and you have a strategy that's based off pullbacks. So let's say, for example, in the down market we've been currently having and experiencing, you're the type of trader that once it's going down, let's say you're trading futures, you just want to sell at the market. As it makes lower lows, you just hit the bid and sell and sell. And in the last couple of days, that would have worked great, okay? But what if you have a pullback strategy? Well, then you wouldn't have had a lot of those profits and a lot of those trades. You would be waiting this entire time for a bounce. Not sure we had the bounce the last couple of days, but prior to that, you would have missed that down day where we were down roughly about 700-800 points, okay? Because the market just kept going lower and lower. So you'll be out of sync with your persona, with your trading personality, and you won't be profitable or consistent because you won't feel comfortable. So in order to resolve these difficulties, you have to decide first what type of trader you are. And you may have changed. When I first started trading on the floor some 4 decades ago, I was much younger those days and I liked a lot of action trading. So I was a continuation trader. Now as I've gotten older and I don't have as much time to trade because I'm teaching or I'm calling up students or I'm giving webinars, I'm more of a pullback trader. There's nothing wrong. There's just different styles. The only thing that's wrong is when you're out of sync with your specific style. Here's the good news. You can decide which type of trader you are with steps. This is what steps does. This is the gap it fills. So if you're not familiar with steps stands for, it's simply abbreviation for short-term entry points. That's all it is. Because we're providing you with these entry points so that you can feel comfortable if you're a continuation trader or if you're a pullback trader. If you want to re-enter or if you want less trades, steps fills all of those gaps. But remember, steps is not a strategy. It doesn't come with complete exit rules or complete stop placement or money management. But it's 2 completely different proprietary entry techniques. That's all. And when we say proprietary, we're keeping the rules to them in-house. That's how powerful they are. But they can be applied to your current trading method or used as building blocks for the construction of one. We know a lot of students like to tinker under the hood. They like to make their own trading plans, their own strategies. You can use this as your entry point, all right? We really feel it will add to your consistency. So what is steps one? Well, steps one is designed for entry points for continuation traders. So if you're the type of trader who likes a lot of action, if you see a trend that's well underway and you want to get in, but you just don't know how or where, steps one is for you. So what is steps two? Steps two are entry points designed for pullback traders. If you're that type of trader who's been trading a continuation method and you say, see, this strategy I designed or built, it doesn't really work with my persona. I like maybe less trades, but I like to have them at lower prices. Steps two is right for you, okay? So the beauty of this is that the PTS Primo charting platform now automatically makes trading with steps simple because it automatically generates these steps one and steps two entry points. They have high probability, and then you can look at this and research them and decide which one works best for you. Now, remember we talked about all those different issues. Let's take them one by one and look at some current charts and see how they could have resolved them using our new steps, of course. Okay, the first issue was, Steve, I already have a strategy, but I need help in fine-tuning my entries. So in other words, you're not happy with where you get in, okay? Let's say your strategy is based off news. We have a lot of students that say, well, Steve, I love to look at the fundamental news, whether it's earnings, whether it's an economic report. I'm the kind of guy that I'll be tracking a stock or a market, and I can't get in until the news confirms it for me, okay? Well, let's look at this example here. This is in Coca-Cola, KO, all right? This was reported in the LA Times on the 23rd of July, just about a week or so ago. Coca-Cola beat its second quarter earnings and the revenue estimates on Tuesdays and raised guidance for the year. In response, Wall Street bid shares up 6%, setting a new high. Its coffee sales, powered by its acquisition of Costa Coffee, which closed early this year, added a nice growth engine. Okay, so positive news. If you've been tracking based off your strategy, KO, Coca-Cola, and you like it, well, this is your confirmation to get in, right? You would like to go off fundamental news. And that's when the news came out, and so now you want to jump in, right? Well, how could you have fine-tuned your entry so that you don't buy at the top? Well, here's how easy it is, especially on our platform. You would click on steps two. Let's say you wanted to purchase at lower prices, so you're a steps two type of trader, pullback. When the drop-down menu appears, you simply click on signal arrows, and in a matter of seconds, you'll see that steps number two generated a triangle here. That's the way we're designating steps two setups. And right here, you see that you had a nice buy setup prior to the news. So if you were waiting for the news, this was a tremendous tool. Now, say you still want a confirmation, and once you had confirmation, let's say you were going to buy a couple hundred shares. Well, maybe you would have wanted to say, before the news comes out, steps two is really a high probability setup. I'm going to maybe buy 100 shares just prior to that. And then when the news comes out, if it's good, I'll buy another 100, okay? Lots of different ways to do it. But remember, it's your strategy. You were researching KO, Coca-Cola. You liked it from the beginning. You were just waiting for that confirmation. Steps two would have given you that early warning that it was going to be good. All right, and also with this, you could have gained an extra 3 points prior to the news. Let's look at another example here if you were following fundamental news. This was on the 30th, just last week. Markets gapped down on the opening, reported by Yahoo Finance. The markets started out negative today as a few worrisome earnings reports from companies were released both yesterday and before the bell this morning. These chilled the market some, including lackluster releases from many Dow component stocks. All right, so that's your confirmation that you don't like the market. Let's say you were watching the market and you didn't feel good about it anyway, but this gives you the confirmation to sell. You were watching this and you were waiting for a breakdown below this, let's say, support, okay? Once we gap down and close below that, that's your confirmation to get in on the 30-minute intraday spider chart, okay? Let's say you're intraday trading the spiders. So based on that, you didn't like the market, it broke support, it closed below support, there's bad news on a lot of earnings report front, you sell right there, right? Okay? So this is a 30-minute intraday time frame, and look what happens. Absolutely nothing. The stock goes sideways to higher. So you're in this, holding this position and losing for over a day, almost 2 days coming into August. So you say to yourself, you know what? I'm not going to hold on to this. Nothing's happened. I guess the market's discounting this bad news, this fundamental news, so I'm going to exit and cover. Well, had you done that, look, we all know what we've missed coming into the 5th of August here. You would have missed this tremendous downward move. So how could steps have helped you? Well, you could have used this for confirmation, and then once you see, then you simply apply steps 1, because you want a lot of setups, and steps 1 would have generated, once you clicked on the signal arrows, these oncoming signals to enter. And you see how each and every one of these would have been a nice entry. It could have also gained you an extra 15 points. So you see how your strategy or your idea in both these examples, Coke and the market, wasn't a bad idea. It's just that your entry was faulty. Many times, if you use the steps entry, you'll get a higher probability setup. All right, let's go to issue number 2. I enter trades too early, Steve. Okay, I'm sure we've all done that, right? You get into a trade, the minute you get into it, it either does nothing like we just saw, or it goes the opposite direction. So let's look at an example here in Apple. This is an older example. Let's say you really like Apple, okay? After all, you're a technician. You see this really nice pennant. We have a nice upward move, and we're forming this pennant. We have resistance here. Once we break this resistance, you are going to be a buyer. You're going to jump on into this because you think Apple's going to explode. So look what happens the next day. It just barely closes above, so you buy. You've done all the research, and now you've used the technical analysis, and you think that this is going to scream. You get in there, you buy. Let's say you buy the calls. Let's say you buy the stock. It makes no difference. And look what happens, okay? A week later, you've lost a lot of money, so you exit. You say, this isn't worth it. I'm getting out. Well, had you simply waited to enter using steps, let's see what type of entries you would have gotten. Now, using steps number 2, on the day you most likely exited thinking that's it, it's a gap down, this is going to go much lower, that's where you would have entered. And look what happened, okay? So your idea was right. It's just your entry, you got in a little bit too early. Now, let's say you're not a steps 2 trader, all right? And you say, well, I'm going to wait for steps 1 setups. Well, you click on steps 1 and look at all the setups you could have had, even better prior to that nice run-up, okay? So you were right with the decision. Your entry was too early. It happens the same way to the downside. Here's a current example in BR, as we see here. The stock has a really nice move upwards, okay? So you want to short this, though. According to all your analysis, this is just a pullback. All this is just an upward bounce in a downtrend. And you want to wait for confirmation once we close below here, okay? So you're waiting, and look what happens the next day. Well, this is it. It's broken down, so you sell. You think most likely it's going to come all the way down here or maybe even lower. So you're excited about this. Once again, it makes no difference if you shorted the stock or bought the puts or some type of spread with a negative bias, but you're short. You feel confident, and it goes down a little bit, but then starts to firm up, and now it's even higher than where you sold. If you've got the puts, you're losing money on the time decay. So you say, you know what, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'll take a small loss, and I'll exit. I'll cover my position. And then look what happens, okay? You got in too early. Let's see how steps could have helped you. Well, if you're short, that's fine. Then the next step is just to click on whichever technique suits your persona. If it's steps number 1, well, then you'd click that on, and every time you saw a setup, you could have taken advantage of it, okay? Sure, you didn't get as good as prices here, but as well, you didn't have to wait 2, 3, 4 weeks and then worry and stop yourself out. The minute you got in, it continued to go your direction. Now, let's say you're a steps 2 trader. Well, you don't want a lot of action. You just want high probability setups. Well, steps 2 also would have designated some signals along the way. I'll show you that in just a few seconds here. Let's go to issue number 3. I don't know how or where to re-enter, okay? Let's say you have a trade that works out pretty well. You make a little money, you're proud of yourself, you pat yourself on the back, and then it just continues going, and going, right? We've all been there. It's the worst feeling in the world because you feel like you left so much money on the table. In fact, I did that today. So don't worry about it. It happens to everyone. Let's look at the example in Casey, C-A-S-Y. All right. In June, it looks like the stock is going nowhere, but according to your strategy, your system, based off candlesticks, you have a buy setup right here. So you go long, all right? And guess what? 3 days later, you have a really nice profit. It gapped up, and you say to yourself, boy, you know, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth here. I'm going to take the profit and exit. So you're happy with yourself. You made some money. You're going to celebrate. And then look what happens the following weeks here. You not only got out too early, you sold at the bottom because it hasn't gone any lower from where you sold and where you exited. So roughly about a week or so later, you go, boy, maybe I got out a little bit too early, but how do I get back in? How do I re-enter? Because my strategy, my system is not generating new entries. I don't know where to get back in. This is where steps comes into play. If you chose steps 1, look at all these entries. Could have given you more opportunities to get back in the trade. This is the beauty of steps. Remember, it's a proprietary in-house formula that generates these entries, but you'll just see out of using them how you can really use them to your advantage. Another example, let's say you're a short trader in UA. Let's say you got short at the very top somewhere around this level based off your strategy, and you had a really nice trade. You stayed in for a good 3-4 weeks. You made some good money, and you covered roughly around down here. Now, you're hoping it doesn't go much lower, and guess what? It went higher. So you feel good about yourself. You said, you know what? I got in relatively towards the top and got out relatively towards the bottom. You feel like you're a master trader. You feel proud of yourself, and you're just kind of sitting back looking for other setups, and then this happens, right? Then you're saying to yourself, wow, why didn't I just hold on for an extra couple of months or so? I could have doubled what I made. Well, if you want to get back in, if you want to re-enter, your strategy has to generate more signals. But what if it doesn't? This is where steps comes into play. With the steps 1, you simply click on the tab here and look at all the automatic signals that are generated prior to this large downward move. Now, let's say you're a steps 2 trader where you don't want a lot of signals. You just want some high probability setups at higher prices. Well, click on steps 2 and automatically it shows you how you could have sold higher at these levels on this bounce. This is the beauty of using steps. I use steps in just about every one of the techniques I trade. Let's go on to the next issue where most traders have trouble with entries. They say, Steve, I want more trade entries. Whereas others say, I don't have enough time for this system that generates 20 trades a day. I want less trade entries. Okay? Let's look at this chart here, a 15-minute chart of the E-mini futures, because steps can be applied to any market, any time frame. All right? If you're the type of trader that wants a lot of action, remember when I was trading on the floor, I was trading 1 and 5-minute charts. I wanted a lot of action. Steps would have come in perfect then. And if I combine both steps 1 and 2, you see all the signals that are generated automatically. Obviously, some are better than others, but in our 2-day course, we'll share with you some high probability ways to filter out the better ones. Now, let's say you want less trades. Well, then you would click on steps number 2, and you could see that in that entire time period, you only had one setup. But look at where you got, right near the bottom. This is the beauty of this 2-day course. We'll teach you exactly how to apply them. Finally, let's go to the 5th issue where most traders have trouble with entries. They say, Steve, I want to add to my long-term positions, okay? Let's say you were lucky enough to get involved in the markets. Here's a monthly chart, all right? Each one of these bars represents a month. So we're going all the way back to 2009, just after the tremendous financial crisis in 2008. And let's say you were lucky enough to get in at the bottom, okay? Let's say you took one of my courses and we generated a buy setup there. So you got long in your long-term portfolio and you've done tremendously well in the last 10 years. But look how much better you could have done if you added to your position. So if you wanted a lot of ways to use your leverage with the gains you had, you could have chosen steps 1 and look at all the buy signals that were generated in the QQQs, which represent the NASDAQ index all the way up. Now, let's say you're a steps 2 type of trader. You don't want a lot. You just want more high probability buy areas. Instead of buying at the high, you just want to get in at a lower price. Well, steps 2 generated some really nice setups. One at the low here in 2011, and then another one at the low here in 2018, okay? Just recently. Okay, so let's review what's going to be covered and involved in this and what we taught you today. Remember, in order to be a consistent trader, you want to make things simple. You don't want to overcomplicate your trading, and that goes with the type of trader you are. You don't want to be trading out of your realm. That's a huge disadvantage because if you don't feel comfortable, you're basically going to be swimming upstream. Even if the strategy or the system generates tremendous consistency, it's been my experience, if you don't feel comfortable, you won't take those trades. it just won't meet your trading persona, okay? If it generates, let's say you have a system that generates numbers of, 80% winning trades, and, the drawdowns are real small, okay? And you bought this $10,000 package, and then you start to figure out how it works, and it generates 10 trades a day. And you say, I can't trade 10 times a day. I don't have the wherewithal to do that, and I don't want to be that type of trader. So in order to get those type of statistics, you have to take 10 trades a day, and you're just probably not going to trade it. You're going to, lobby that up to, well, I just threw away $10,000 out the door. When all you had to do was apply steps 2 to that, okay? And that would have filtered out all of those and told you the high probability steps to take, all right? And it goes vice versa. If you're the type of trader that likes a lot of action, you like to trade tick charts, and you have a pullback method that only trades maybe once a week, you're not going to feel comfortable. You're going to sit there 4 days of the week twiddling your thumbs and saying, this is ridiculous. I mean, even though this has some winners here, I'm just bored out of my wits most of the time. So you most likely won't trade it. You'll look for something that meets your needs. This is where you have to simplify it and really get down to which type of trader you are. Because remember, you're either a continuation type of trader, or to simplify it, you're a pullback trader. So you must come to terms with what type of trader you are. Remember, when I first started trading years ago, I was a continuation trader. But now in my old age, I'm a pullback trader. I like maybe, having those high probability setups rather than a lot of trades, buying at the high or selling at the low. I don't want that. I just want to wait. So in order to resolve your entry difficulties, you must first decide which type of trader you are. This will eliminate half of, in my opinion, your issues and half of the battles you're currently experiencing. All right, let's review steps. You can apply them to any strategy, any market, any time frame, and any direction. Now, we had the majority of the examples here with stocks, but I showed you a few with the intraday of the E-mini futures. I also showed you some ETFs. But we have currency pair traders that trade steps currently. We have commodity traders. We also have Bitcoin traders. Remember when Bitcoin went straight up a year or so ago? Don't you think steps 1, the continuation entry, would have helped you tremendously? There are some tremendous setups with markets that take off. So many times traders say, gosh, Steve, this market is just going straight up, but I don't know when to get in, and I feel uncomfortable just jumping in with no rhyme or reason. This is where steps can really help you, steps 1, okay? All right, so we're going to be talking about and introducing our new 2-day course in steps. When we say 2-day, we don't mean that it's the entire day. So I don't want you to think, well, Steve, I can't take the entire day to go to a class. No, it's not that. In other words, we're taking this in 2 different steps. Each course or each class will last anywhere from 1 to 3 hours, and we'll have 2 consecutive days at the end of this month. Okay, so that's what we mean by 2-day. It is not the entire day. We're not going to meet here at 6 in the morning and be done at 10 o'clock at night. Don't worry. All right. And we will record everything. So if you can't meet it on that day, you will be able to see the recording. And even if you can meet the class and attend, you will be able to still get the recording and watch it at your leisure so you can really fully understand it. But the reason why we're doing this is that you can have interaction with me, your instructor. So you'll have, a close interaction so you can ask me questions live, and we can look at some and review some current charts. So on the first day, in the first class, we're going to cover complete continuation entry techniques with steps 1, okay? So that's what we're going to be covering on the first day. It can either be an hour or for 3 hours. It makes no difference. I'm very easy and very up to you and letting you decide how long you want the class to be. Steps number 2, on day number 2, we'll be covering complete pullback entry techniques with the class. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the 2-day course curriculum. Here's one extra added bonus. In this 2-day course, I'm also going to teach you a personal trading technique that's based on both steps 1 and steps 2. Because please remember, steps are not a strategy. I'm not going to tell you where to, trade it or how exactly to trade it, and this is the perfect system, and this is the perfect strategic way in which to enter, and so that all you have to do is follow these simple rules, and you'll be retiring in 6 months. No, steps are just simply entry techniques. But just so that you won't feel that you're left going away empty-handed, I'm going to show you a trading technique based off this. So if you need a little help, this is something that I personally use. It works really well by applying steps 1 and steps 2, okay? So let's talk about the course. Okay, you're going to get the short-term entry points, complete steps course, 2 proprietary techniques, a continuation entry, and a pullback entry. Remember, you can apply it to your current strategy, or if you're the type of trader that likes to construct your own strategies, but you need a little help with entries, this is perfect for you. Steps will give you the confidence to pull the trigger. If you've been having difficulty with your current trading method, most likely it's because of your entries. Steps will really let you feel comfortable. You'll be able to go back and look and see how much it could have helped you by just simply clicking it on and see where the arrows are and go, boy, this is really great. Now I can take my strategy to the next level. But we're not going to just stop there. We're also going to include our PTS Primo charting platform to make it easy for you. This is the educational platform that automatically generates steps 1 and steps 2 entry points. So all you have to do is click on steps 1 tab or the steps 2 tab, and you'll see where the arrows automatically are. We made it and designed it specifically so that it could be simple and uncomplicated for you. Now, we're going to throw in 12 months of the PTS charting platform. Now, 12 months normally costs close to $1,800. We're not going to charge you $1,800. In fact, we're not going to charge you anything. We are throwing in 12 months of the platform entirely free. So if you become a member of this college, of this course, you're going to get 12 months, 1 full year of the platform entirely free, so that you can automatically click on and see where those steps up and down by arrows are. Now, extra included bonus is that you're going to get the scanner. This comes with the platform. So you can scan on a nightly basis for those steps signals. For example, here's how simple it is. Once again, Pro Trader Strategies and myself designed it so they could be tremendously simple. Let's say you come home at night, you've been following this stock, you really like it, and let's see if steps generated a buy setup for that day. All right, so you simply click on the steps number 1 tab, the drop-down menu, click on scan. This window will appear. It's so simple. You click on load symbols, and whatever symbol list you're interested in, NASDAQ, S&P, futures, currency pairs, Bitcoin, could be the Toronto Exchange, could be commodities. We provide you with all these different lists. You can even create your own basket. But once you decide which symbol list you want, you'll see it appear in a matter of seconds. Then all you have to do is click on scan. And in about 10 or 20 seconds, you'll see a series of either green or red horizontal lines. The green lines mean that's a buy signal. The red ones mean in the corresponding stock you have a sell signal. All right, so let's say you had done this a week or so ago. You were following a stock you really liked, and that stock was ZROZ, okay? Now, you really like this. On the 31st of July, just about 5 days ago, Steps 1 generated a entry buy setup. And you've been following this. You really like this, all right? So you could have decided to enter, or maybe you're just paper trading, but either way, you feel confident to pull the trigger, and look what happened in the next 4 days. The stock gained 10 points, okay? So let's say you like this, you just didn't know where to enter. Well, using Steps 1, you could have entered right there. Now, I believe the stock, this snapshot was taken yesterday, I believe the stock is even higher today. So this is the beauty. This is what you're going to be getting free, an extra added bonus on the platform. You'll get the scanner. You're also getting a lot more features that you'll see and that we have educational videos for on the platform. A lot of different ways to help elevate your trading. So you're going to get all that, which includes the new PTS Primo charting platform, along with the 2-day course you can attend. Now, let's break it down. The regular steps pricing would cost close to $3,000. And once again, if you included that 12 months of the platform, we're talking close to $5,000 for this 2-day course and for the platform. Well, we're going to slash the price tremendously. We're not going to charge you for the platform. We're going to take off nearly 20% off of the regular price and only charge you $24.95. You're going to save $500. And on top of that, if you still can't come up with the $24.95, we have payment plans available. So for a small deposit, you'd still be able to get included in the 2-day live event, and you can just make monthly payment installments. This is how beautiful this is, so that even if you can't come up with $24.95, you'll still be in the 2-day course. Remember, I'm teaching this course live so that you can have interaction with me and ask me questions live over the internet. So this is something that's really, really something we haven't done before, and we've never had a live event with steps. If you want to take advantage of it, this is something you have to do, because this is a 2-day live event. Class size is limited. We want to make it more intimate. We don't want hundreds of people in there, because then we'll be right back to where we don't want it to be, where it's too complicated and we have too many people and we can't answer each and every question. So reserve your spot now. Class most likely will begin at the end of this month, August, and we'll most likely have it on a Thursday or a Friday. But remember, everything's going to be recorded, and we'll ask all of our students if they want to pick different days, then we can do that. Even if you want it on a weekend, we can do that for you as well, okay? So here's how to take advantage of this. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. They help me design the platform, and plus they are in charge of all the pricing and all of the courses and all of the colleges. You can email them at trading@protraderstrategies.com for more information, or I would suggest calling them directly at area code 310-598-6677. If you have a question about the pricing or if a question about the platform, or if you want to construct a payment plan, if you want to put down a small deposit and still be in the live class, they can do that for you. There's no obligation, even if you have questions concerning the platform, there's no obligation at all. So I would recommend calling them up if you have questions concerning that. Now, the link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the information page concerning the masterclass. It will also take you to give you some more information, and you can sign up on that page as well. But it's not a live link, but they've posted a live link in the chat box. So if you have any concerns, just go to the live chat box link there, and you can not have to worry about copying that and posting that on your browser, okay? Now, I'm going to leave all this information up here. I promised you I would reserve the end of the presentation for questions. So I'll open up the question and answer box here, and let's see. It says, question, does the PTS Primo charting platform guarantee that you make money? No, nothing guarantees. This sounds like a student who's been hurt in the past, because if you've been guaranteed something like that, most likely you lost money. There are no guarantees in the market. And if anyone ever guarantees that you'll make money, I would most likely leave, because there's nothing guaranteed. In fact, there's nothing guaranteed in life. So why categorize it and put it down only to the platform, okay? Thorsten is asking, will you reveal in your course the rules for these steps so we don't need to rely on checking on the steps indication? Well, no, we're not going to go and remember they are proprietary. But I've been asked this question before. The real secret to steps is not in figuring out what the rules are. The real reason for steps is knowing and how to use them. So ultimately, you won't have to worry about that. And even if you're going to get the platform for a whole year, but we will also furnish you, or you can contact Pro Trader Strategies with the add-ons for whatever platform you're using, that even after a year, you'll be able to see the automatic up and down arrows, okay? So this comes with that as well. So we want to keep it in-house, because we know a lot of our competitors like to, if we give out these proprietary rules here, a lot of them will, they'll reverse engineer, and pretty soon we see them, advertised on another site, another, educator with another name, and now we've lost a lot of what we're trying to teach. And what we're trying to do is teach you how to use them. It's not so much in what the proprietary rules are. So no, we will not be giving them out. But remember, you're getting over 4 decades of experience of someone who has used these, and you're going to be understanding exactly how to use them coming from that person, okay? That's the real secret. That's the real education behind this course, okay? Joe asks, can steps be used on trade session? Yes, they can. Like I said earlier to Thorsten, remember, you will be able to apply them on other platforms. We'll give you the add-ons for that. But it's not as easy. I've used TradeStation in the past, and I can get on the platform, I can see a steps up and down arrow in less than a second. With TradeStation, if you're in a fast market and you want to get a steps one, it may take you 5 or 10 seconds to open up the box, to look for steps, to click it on, to verify, and by that time you may have missed the entry point. So sure, you can use it on you can also use it on Thinkorswim through NinjaTrader, also Sierra Charts. You can also use it on, let's see, I believe the other platforms are Metastock, MT4, I said Ninja Charts, but I would contact Pro Trader Strategies, because they're the one to answer all those questions. Any questions concerning platform usage or tech support or pricing, I would call Pro Trader Strategies, because they are in charge of that department. Anywhere where you want to learn more about trading, the actual application of trading steps, then you forward me all your questions, and I can answer for you really quickly, okay? But so far, yes, your questions on where they can be used, yes, for all those different platforms, okay? Remember, steps is a great entry technique. In fact, it's 2 entry techniques. We teach you the proper way to use them. And as an extra bonus, as I said earlier, you will get a technique to trade them. So we're not going to say, well, here's a great buy signal. Too bad you didn't have a strategy that could have, applied it. We will show you a great trading technique and how to use them, okay? So this is all included in the live 2-day course. And as you see in these classes, how you're asking me questions live right now and the interaction we're having, that's why we wanted to have this 2-day course. Because that way, you could have this interaction with myself, someone who uses steps, someone who knows how to apply them. And that way we could be trading and looking at current charts with the steps. Okay, now on top of that, we will also be sharing with you all the different ways, and we'll be going over your questions. Now, since this is going to be a course, I'm going to give you some homework examples as well, so that I fully know that you understand the process. And we're going to, go over some of these questions that you may have as well, because this is a 2-day course. So I want to understand or fully know that you're understanding the process as well. Okay, so you're going to get some homework questions, then we will review them the next day. Once again, people are asking, how long are these classes going to be? It's up to you. I've had some classes that lasted 3 or 4 hours. I've had other classes that lasted and were completed in 45 minutes. It's entirely up to you. It's how many questions or how much you want to interact with me and what I'm teaching you in the course. But remember, you're still going to have to paper trade this first. I don't want you just to jump in. I want you to paper trade first so that you fully understand the process for applying both of these different entry techniques, steps, okay? Lastly, people are asking, can I use this on currency pairs? Yes, you can. We have traders that use these on currency pairs. We have traders that use this on Bitcoin. And other questions, people are saying, can I use this on tick charts? Yeah, you can use it on tick charts, range charts, candlesticks. It makes no difference, okay? And we'll show you examples of that as well in the course, okay? So please join me at the end of this month for a 2-day live event. And when we say live event, it's going to be a class. It won't be taking up the entire day, so don't worry about that. It'll run anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, roughly. And then we'll give you some homework assignments, and then we'll come back and review them the next day, and then we'll go over and talk about the next steps technique. And remember, we can choose which day we want, and we're keeping class limited to a certain amount of students, so we don't want to get it too overfilled. So please take advantage of this right now, and that special $500 discount. As well, we're offering you payment plans. We realize that not everyone can come up with the $24.95 price, so don't worry. We will let you construct some type of payment plan, so for a small deposit, you can still be in the live class, which starts in the following weeks, okay? Okay, if there are no more questions, remember we've posted the live link on the chat box, so if you're interested, please click that on. And as we conclude here, as you take one last look at our disclaimer, I hope you saw how steps can really help you. I showed you a lot of current examples, how it could really help you. If you're struggling right now, if you don't feel comfortable with your strategy and you realize that maybe you're out of sync with the type of trading you are, maybe you're a pullback trader, maybe you're not a pullback trader, maybe you're a continuation trader, Steps is the course for you because it'll really help you and it will provide you and fill in that gap with the specific type of entry point that really lends to your trading persona, okay? So as we conclude, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the new 2-day Steps course. Thank you so much. Hope to see you in class. Bye-bye.